This report is written within the discourse of social philosophy, political economy, and systems theory. The text is deliberately presented without tables, footnotes, or references to market metrics, since the subject of analysis is the social significance and ontological status of systems rather than their investment attractiveness. Digital currencies are often analyzed as financial instruments. However, such an approach is methodologically limited. In reality, every stable crypto system represents a social protocol that shapes a specific mode of cooperation, distribution of responsibility, and allocation of power. This report compares three fundamentally different models, Bitcoin, BTC, XRP, and PZM, from the perspective of their social significance, ethical orientation, and influence on the structure of human behavior. 1. The social nature of BTC, XRP, and PZM. Bitcoin BTC. BTC is a system in which social significance emerges indirectly, through scarcity. Its core function is the formation of a digital analog of a hard asset. Social interaction within the BTC ecosystem is secondary to capital. Individuals unite not for the collective reproduction of the economy, but for competition over a limited resource. The social effect of BTC lies not in the creation of a community, but in the formation of a new financial elite with privileged access to capital, infrastructure, and early entry. The ethical model of BTC is neutral. The system neither requires solidarity nor encourages inclusion, nor does it reduce social asymmetry. It merely translates it into digital form. XRP represents an institutional model of digital money. Its social significance lies in the optimization of existing financial flows. It is not a system for forming a new type of society, but for increasing the efficiency of the old one. The community here is functional and instrumental. Participants do not form an autonomous social fabric, but serve the integration of the system into existing hierarchies. Ethically, XRP reproduces the logic of centralized trust, merely changing its technological carrier. Economically, it reduces transaction costs but does not transform social relations. For this reason, XRP is not perceived by states as an existential threat. It reinforces the institutional model rather than undermining it. PRIZM, PZM. PRIZM differs fundamentally from both models. Its social significance does not derive from scarcity or institutional trust. Instead, it arises from the interconnectedness of participants. In the PRIZM system, money does not precede the community, it emerges as its consequence. Economic activity is embedded in social relations, and emission functions as a result of participation rather than capital ownership. Thus, PRIZM represents a social emission system in which the economy does not govern society but reflects its structure. MUD2. Why PRIZM is systematically marginalized. The marginalization of PRIZM is not accidental but structural. It stems from the fact that the system challenges a fundamental monopoly of modern states and financial institutions, the monopoly over social causality. PRIZM is not perceived as dangerous because of its price, scale, or technology, but because it demonstrates the possibility of an economy that exists, without a central decision-making authority, without institutional permission, without elite-controlled access to emission. As a result, the dominant strategy of response to PRIZM is not direct prohibition, but informational neglect, stigmatization of the community, labeling participants as sex, marginals, or losers. Beneficiaries of PRIZM's marginalization. Those who benefit from the marginalization of PRIZM include 1. States that preserve control over motivation through taxation, subsidies, and access to money. 2. Financial institutions for which social emission systems represent a loss of intermediary power. 3. Cryptocurrency elites whose influence is based on scarcity, early entry, and information asymmetry. PRIZM cannot be integrated into these models without losing its essence. Therefore, it must remain invisible to them. Now 4. Social, ethical, and economic outcomes for the individual. Social outcomes. The individual ceases to be an atomized market participant and becomes a node within a network where economic position depends on the quality of connections. This fosters a culture of mutual responsibility and horizontal trust. Ethical outcomes. PRIZM encourages a transition from the logic of accumulation to the logic of distribution. Value is created not through hoarding, but through inclusion and transmission. Ethically, this reduces aggressive competition and strengthens cooperation. Economic outcomes. Economic activity becomes less dependent on external cycles. Income is formed not through speculation, but through the stability of social ties. This reduces existential insecurity in times of crisis. Number 5. Individual actions leading PRIZM toward irreversibility. System irreversibility is achieved not through mass adoption, but through functional substitution. Key individual actions include using PRIZM in real economic transactions, forming stable micro-communities, rejecting speculative motivation, transmitting practices without ideological propaganda. When PRIZM becomes not an idea, but an everyday instrument, the system crosses the threshold of irreversibility. Number 6. The positive effect of PRIZM community development in 2026. The year 2026 represents a point at which global instability intensifies, distrust in institutional structures grows, the value of horizontal networks increases. For the individual, participation in PRIZM during this period provides early inclusion in an alternative social economy, development of skills in cooperation and autonomy, reduced dependence on external centers of control, the formation of long-term social capital. Conclusion, reworked. BTC functions as digital gold. XRP serves as digital infrastructure for the existing institutional world. PRIZM, however, represents a fundamentally different phenomenon. PRIZM is not a market competitor and does not seek dominance within existing financial hierarchies. It operates on another level, the level of social ontology. It emerges where people collectively produce economic meaning through direct participation rather than through institutions, intermediaries, or speculative incentives. For this reason, PRIZM should be understood not as a marginalized project, but as a free, people-driven cryptocurrency, a form of grassroots economic self-organization. Its persistence does not depend on approval, ratings, or centralized validation. It exists because individuals choose to practice it, reproduce it, and live within its logic. In this sense, PRIZM is not merely a cryptocurrency, but an expression of popular economic sovereignty in digital form.